Well, hello and welcome to this session. What I'm going to talk about today is risk escalation. Now, this seems to be something that is really misunderstood amongst the risk management fraternity, but certainly within organizations. There is a difference between risk reporting and risk escalation. I see it all the time in risk management plans in organizations where they say, all high and extreme risks are to be escalated to senior management. That's not entirely true. Why would you actually escalate it? Because essentially the people down below could have the wherewithal, could have the delegations, could have everything at their disposal to actually manage that risk. So instead of escalating it, what you should be doing is reporting and saying, all right, we've identified a higher extreme risk. This is what we're doing about it to actually mitigate that risk. We will keep you posted. We will keep you informed through reporting as to the progress to get our risk down to the target level. So there's only a number of reasons that I would consider that you need to escalate a risk. First and foremost, if that risk is above your target level of risk and there is absolutely nothing else that you can do to reduce that to your target, it has to be escalated to the senior or to the level of management that has the authority and the accountability to sign off that they are willing to accept that risk on behalf of the organization. Another reason to escalate a risk is when any treatments or any of the activities that you need to do around that risk are actually outside of the delegation of the original risk owner. If the decision is taken not to spend the money on that, then once again, that risk is going to be accepted at a higher level than what the target level of risk is, and so it has to be signed off by the person with the right level of authority in the organization. Even if that $100,000, say, is spent, it still needs to be escalated because that person may have that delegation, whereas the risk owner doesn't. The other time that I see risk escalation as being appropriate is when you have a shared risk, where it's shared with other functions of the organization, or it may be shared with external organizations, and you can't come to an agreement, or they're not playing nice together. What you may need to do is to escalate that particular risk up through the chain so that potentially those at the top levels of the organization can nut out solutions. And we're seeing this more and more, as I've said in previous blogs, this shared risk, where the risk goes across functional lines, it goes across organizational boundaries. It's very difficult for somebody sitting at a lower level of an organization to actually manage that risk effectively and liaise with and deal with those organizations, particularly when at their level people are saying, well, no, we're not going to do that, or no, we're not going to provide you that information. So in those cases, risk escalation might be an option to potentially deconflict that particular environment. But they're really the only times that I would see risk escalation as opposed to risk reporting. Do not confuse the two, because they are absolutely different. Risk escalation means that you are basically transferring ownership of that risk and accountability for that risk up the chain. Whereas reporting, you maintain the ownership and the accountability for that risk down below, but you're just informing senior leadership of the current situation so they can make risk-informed decisions. Well, that's all I've got for this particular session, and as always, let's be careful out there.